Hello and welcome to my sewing room. I'm Ruth Agel, the creator of Hazel Twigg, and today we're going to make a onesie. Now, when I'm making an outfit, I'm never really excited about the onesies. I'm always excited to get to the dress or the coat or the hat, but they have to be made because you can't go naked under your clothes. You may be wondering why Spring doesn't have her wig yet. I'll show you. It's currently being curled. This makes working on wigs very easy. It's a dowel with a big old foam ball, styrofoam ball. I have larger balls for bigger heads. This is a little bit too big for her, but it's okay. And smaller balls for smaller dolls. And you just pin it. And then I found a bag of these in a thrift store, and they're called spoolies, and I found it really cheap. I looked them up online. They're pretty expensive, but they've been around for a long time. They're used to make pin curls. So anyway, that's what I'm doing with her hair, so it's still working. And I don't really like to put a wig on until I make a hat because it gets messy with all the sewing that I do. Also, I can't do Facebook Live right now. I live in the boonies. We have one squirrel for everybody, and he's getting old. So until I get a new squirrel, which is coming, I can't do Facebook Live, but I will in about 3 weeks because it's apparently coming by Pony Express. So anyway, here is Spring's onesie. I just made it. It's very simple. Here's the pattern piece, but I'm going to show you on a smaller doll. This girl just arrived. She hasn't had anything done, but she will be good for an example. So let me see if I can get this camera right. So there she is. What I do is when I'm laying down, I go like this, thinking of not just her shoulder, but curving up. I go like this. I lift up her arm, go under. I hope you can see this. I can't really tell. I go down and I go like this. Then I mark right here between her legs, and on the other side, I mark up her shoulder. So when I'm done, sorry, I dropped you. When I'm done, I have something that looks like this. Not too great, but anyway. So then, what I do is I fold it in half. I hold it up to the light, and so I can see through the page, so I can match this and this. And then I kind of use this as a guideline to get in half. So then I have this. I cut it out like I did this, and that's the pattern piece. I'm sorry, this was, what's her name? I just put it on the fold, but pretend this goes the same. I thought of everything. So there's the pattern piece. This is the front. This is the back. The only difference is, and this goes for all my dresses and everything, when I'm cutting out the back, I go higher like this. I made an example of this. Here's the front. Treat every piece like an island and cut a seam allowance around it. Every piece is like an island. And this is the back. Here's what I mean. You'll notice that when you're wearing a shirt, it's lower in front, higher in back. So you can make a separate piece, but why do it? You just cut higher up here, okay? So I treat this piece like an island. I folded it in half to cut. I made an extra piece just for this demonstration, but you just go like that, okay? So there's your pieces, and I made them in green so you could see. And then you sew at the shoulders, and after you do this, this is where you could hem this either by doing a roll under hem, or you can sew lace, then fold it over and then stitch it on top. Or as with spring hair, I used mini rickrack just to make the hemming of it easy. Okay, so once you do that, so pretend this has the lace on it, then you sew the sides. From there, so you'd have, this would be finished, the armholes would be finished, then you have these, the leg holes, and look how easy they are. You're not sewing in a circle, you could basically sew in one big line. I sewed lace to mine, then I folded the lace like, you know, then I folded it like this. So anyway, and then I let the lace be the finish. I folded it and then I ironed and I stitched on this part. So then you would just sew the back. You'd have a big circle. Right then I would fit it to my doll and make sure everything was okay. For example, with spring I had to go back and I made the crotch a little bit higher and so it would fit better. And then you'll have a big circle. And then you just sew this together like this. And you have a onesie. It's really easy. It has to be done. And if you like, you can make the these longer. I've done it where these are longer and I make them and they're kind of bloomer onesies. Or if you find out, usually I make it at a curve, but if you make the leg too straight and they're droopy, take a little gather, put a little ribbon. There's not much that can go wrong that you can't fix with a little bit of tweaking. So I'm sorry, I have to look at the little dot. So there you have that. And oh, by the way, with Spring's onesie, I did French seams on the side because I can't find my pinking shears. So a French seam is very easy to do. Let me just explain in case you want to know. With a French seam, you put wrong sides together. Usually you start with right sides together. With a French seam, you put wrong sides together, you stitch, you trim, then you put right sides together and you stitch. That will leave you with an inside seam like this. Nice and finished, no raw edges, and I care about you. See, I used vintage fabric and I made all these samples so you could see what I'm talking about. This is without the French seam, just a regular old seam, and this is with the French seam. So, that is our onesie. I'm sorry I sped through it. If you have any questions, let me know. Just write me a note. Onesies don't have to be boring. In the past, I've made them out of stretchy red fabric. I went on with the legs and then I sewed a square to the back and made little red union jammies. You know, the red kind with the little peekaboo back. If you go to my website, my blog at Hazel Twigg with 2gs.com/blog and do a search for Babs, you'll see what I mean. I added sleeves to it. It was a piece of cake. So there are things you can do with this. If you like, you can also cut this right here. And I'm sure you've seen onesies with little slips attached. I think that's everything. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and you are my favorite.